You can follow the NFL Network's Daniel Jeremiah on Twitter at Move the Sticks. NFL Network providing live coverage round 2 and 3 tonight. They start at 7 Eastern. Well done last night. That was a fun watch, Daniel.
Appreciate it, Dan. And I think if we want to start our own scouting service, we're on the same page in terms of what the Browns should have done.
Yeah, you agree with me? You would have gone Darnold and Chubb?
Yeah, that would have been 1 and 4 for me. I think you got to get the quarterback first, and I thought Darnold was the best option. And then, pass rusher, the top pass rusher staring you right in the face. I liked Denzel Ward a lot, but I wouldn't have passed on Bradley Chubb.
Okay, but how do the Browns – what is their strategy? Explain to me what they're doing with these 2 draft picks.
Well, first of all, they're destroying the myth that John Dorsey is all about traits, which is what we'd heard forever because they got 2 undersized guys with the first 2 picks. But you've got 2 ultra-competitive kids, and you've got 2 guys, you can factor in the fact they've both won a heck of a lot. So I'm sure that factors in a little bit as well. But, no, I just think you had a chance to get Sam Darnold. I would have done that, and I would have gone and got the pass rusher.
What if the Browns had taken Saquon Barkley and then taken whatever quarterback was how do you think that would have played out? If Browns go Saquon Barkley, and then what happens 2, 3, and then what's available at 4 for the Browns?
I think it probably would have gone Saquon Barkley, Bradley Chubb, Sam Darnold, and then they'd be sitting there at 4, and I think they probably would have got Baker.
Doesn't that make more sense?
Yeah, but I think if you were in love with Baker, which they obviously were, they didn't want to take a chance. The most important thing was they come out of this thing with their top quarterback, who they think has the best chance to be successful, and you had to do that at 1, even though there's probably a pretty good chance you could have got him at 4.
I know we love to hand out grades here. Let's start with strategy grades here. Who gets your top grade from the first round?
I would say Baltimore did a nice job of moving around. Anytime you can kind of move back and get some value, I thought, they wanted to go tight end. There was no need for them to do that at 16. So they're able to trade back, get some assets, and get Hayden Hurst, who is still the best tight end in the draft. And then, having some extra assets allowed them to come back up at 32 and take a shot on Lamar Jackson.
Joe Flacco's on the clock, right?
Oh, no question. I'm sure it was probably an uncomfortable night for him. But, the other side of it is Lamar Jackson, that's going to take some time. He's not as advanced as Deshaun Watson was coming in last year to take over that job one game in. I'd be very surprised if Lamar was able to do that so early in the season.
Well, this is what I wanted to know, though. Do you think that the Ravens had the foresight to go, let's bring in RG3, similar skills to Lamar Jackson, so when he comes in, you have somebody who can help him, and this is going to be probably at least a 2-year process for him. Or do you think that's just a coincidence that they signed RG3 and then they got the opportunity to draft Lamar Jackson?
Well, that's a great point. I know they didn't bring in RG3 to teach him how to slide. But look, I think having somebody like RG3 there, now when you make this transition, maybe it's a year from now, you have 2 guys that you can roll with. And I think Mike even made the point last night. If you are going to move your quarterback and run him around a little bit, you better have another one. So I think it does make sense and some foresight there to bring him in ahead of time. And I guarantee you, as they were kind of going through the scouting process and started, kicking around the idea of Lamar Jackson, I'm sure that made the RG3 thing make a lot more sense.
I like Rosen. I think he's certainly a gift for us. That he's quotable, he's ready to go. Why did he fall?
It's interesting. We had said through the process that Josh, some people were going to be fine with him and not have any issues with him, and other people just wouldn't feel comfortable with him. And that's, maybe that is just a personality thing. But the other part of it is just a numbers game. We had so many quarterbacks up in that top group. So when you have 4 guys, I think you look at the teams that need quarterbacks and some other teams that viewed that they were close. To me, when you look at the Giants and you look at the Broncos, they had decisions to make about whether this is a long-term view or whether we think we can flip this thing around right away. And they chose to believe in the veteran quarterbacks they have and then get somebody to help them win right now. And that's what kind of pushed Josh down the board.
Talking to Daniel Jeremiah, NFL Network analyst. NFL Network live coverage rounds 2 and 3 tonight. They start at 7 Eastern. If you had to pick NFL Rookie of the Year today, your pick would be?
Ooh, can I go defensive rookie of the year?
Sure.
I think Derwin James and Gus Bradley's defense with that front that they have with the Chargers, I think is going to be outstanding.
Okay.
He would definitely be my pick on the defensive side of the ball. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I would still go with Saquon Barkley. I mean, he's the best player in the draft. They were awful on third downs last year, and I think he'll help solve a lot of those problems. I think he's going to catch a ton of balls next year.
More likely to go quarterback today or over the weekend, the Patriots or the Giants?
Ooh, I'll say the Patriots. This is the Patriots' sweet spot for quarterbacks. Second, third round. I'll be very surprised if we come out of tonight and they don't have a quarterback.
Also, explain to me with the wide receivers. Cowboys, it felt like, you got a need there and you got a couple of these guys. Are these wide receivers just not that good this year?
I don't know it's that, Dan. I just know that there's not that much difference between the guys you would take last night versus the guys that'll be available tonight. So when there isn't that gap or that distance between them, I think that's why they decided to go ahead and wait a little bit.
Atlanta couldn't pass up, taking Ridley? It was just too good?
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's just kind of a best player available, and when you're picking towards the bottom of the first round, it's because you don't have many needs and you're kind of afforded that luxury to just take the best available guy. We kind of looked, maybe they'll get an interior lineman or maybe another edge rusher. And, obviously they had big grades on Calvin Ridley and didn't anticipate him being there. But, man, I tell you what, that's already pretty darn explosive offense to add another weapon like that.
How surprised were you Patriots went running back first round?
Yeah, they surprise me every year, so I guess not surprised. But the surprise to me wasn't that. It was that Rashad Penny was the second running back to go. That was the big surprise to me. Yeah,
I was surprised at that, too, because most of the draft boards, I didn't think that he was the second running back, probably the fourth running back. But Patriots going running back there. What surprises do you think we'll see rounds 2 and 3?
Well, I think you will see. I think you're still going to see some movement. There's not much difference from rounds 2, 3, and 4 this year. There's a huge clump of guys, so it just comes down to preference and what you're looking for. So, I think we'll see some teams moving around trying to target guys. I think it'll be a pretty busy night from that regard. But Dan, I got to tell you a quick story, real quick, on the Lamar Jackson thing before we run. You're always talking to teams, and you're trying to get information, and they don't say anything, right? Nothing. So I call my buddy with the Ravens, and he'll probably kill me for telling you this. I call him, and he's in the car on speakerphone, and I've worked with him, and he's a good buddy. And so I would never ask him who they're going to pick. But his son's in the car, and he's in the back seat, and so his son's 9 years old. And I'm on speaker, and I go, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" He goes, "Oh, I just left my son's Little League game." And I go, "Hey, buddy, how'd you do?" "Oh, yeah, I was 2 for 3. 2 for 3, had a good day." "How's your team doing?" We're won 8 games. We've only lost 1. "Who's your favorite player in the draft?" "The Louisville quarterback." I'm like, all right, now I know.
Wait, so your source is an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old?
Yeah, no, he was a 9-year-old. And I told my buddy, I said, I'm going to report that a 9-year veteran source has informed me the Ravens could be interested in Lamar Jackson.
A child close to me has told me that the Ravens are going to take Lamar Jackson. I love that. I think I'm rooting for him. I think it's a sneaky good pick for them, and he'll probably get maybe some situational snaps. I'm gonna guess this year, and that's an organization that needs some pizzazz. It's just I think they've maxed out with Joe Flacco, but they're gonna have him at least one more year. But that's interesting that Lamar Jackson coming back in. Best moment of the night was what?
Ryan Shazier, without question. I mean, Dan, I couldn't stop staring at his eyes and the look of determination he had when he was walking out on the stage. It really did. It gave me goosebumps, man.
Hey, have fun tonight, as always, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
That's Daniel Jeremiah, NFL Network, former Raven scout.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.